Hi guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kyra, and here on this channel we are all about makeup, but we're here for real makeup for real life and real people like us. So today's video is one that I was inspired to do by Sarah Rose here on YouTube. I'll have her video linked below, but if you've never checked out her channel, she is a really good resource for conscious consumerism, cruelty-free beauty, as well as project panning. So I absolutely adore her channel. I jump on her videos as soon as they go live. But today's video is all about my top 5 and bottom 5 purchases for the year of 2021. I do write down and track every month the products that come into my life, whether it be by the minimal amount of PR that I get, or gifts, or products that I picked out and purchased for myself. So I went back over my recordings of what I purchased last year, as well as double checked on the Ulta and Sephora websites on my order history, and I've come up with the top 5 and bottom 5 products that I purchased last year. So I did not include any PR, I did not include any gifts. These are all things that I chose and purchased with my own money. And as I like to do, let's start with the bad news. These are in no particular order, but the first product that falls into the bottom is my Marc Jacobs Spotlight Glow Stick. I wanted and coveted this product for quite a long time and ultimately ended up picking it up pretty early on in the year last year. It is a cream highlighter. And the reason why this ultimately ended up in the bottom purchases is because I haven't used this near as much as I thought I would. There's a ton of product in here, and I feel like it's already starting to go bad. It's got that crayon, waxy, sort of Play-Doh scent to it, which is typically an indication that your product is expiring. I saw some of my favorite YouTubers using this and I really wanted it, and it was ultimately not a very well thought out purchase on my part. So I'm gonna try and get as much use out of it as I can, but that definitely falls in the bottom. The next two are products that I don't actually have in my collection anymore. And the first one is the ColourPop Wine Only palette. This falls in the bottom for 2 reasons. Number one, I ended up not liking the palette. I felt like the mattes had an excessive amount of kick up. The mattes were very similar on the eye in terms of the payoff, the colors. I don't know what possessed me to purchase it because it is such a red-based palette and I really don't like red eyeshadow. And the second reason being because I actually duped this palette with my friend Paula from A Beauty Guru made me do it. So I don't know why I then turned around and purchased the palette, especially knowing that it was predominantly red eyeshadows. But that is why that one falls in the bottom. It was not a good choice for me, and it also, in my opinion, was not consistent with the experience that I tend to have with most ColourPop palettes. The next product I did recently declutter to my girl Angela from Beauty and Life with Angela. The product is the Tatcha The Silk Powder. Something about that powder coming from Tatcha made me want to jump on the launch, and unfortunately I did. And unfortunately that product was so far from working for me that I knew immediately that I had made a mistake. Man, that was way too expensive to have made that purchase without doing my research, without watching more reviews, because ultimately I was not the only person that didn't care for the powder. And here's why I didn't care for it. It was somewhat glowy and it was sparkly. So instead of looking luminous on the skin, it ended up looking almost greasy, and it emphasized every teeny tiny pore that I have on my face. And so it just was a horrible mix to go with my oily skin, enlarged pores, etc. And like I said, I knew right away I had made a mistake, so that one is gone. This next one is a newer product to my collection, one that I raved about initially, and especially from the sample experience that I had, and that is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk Push Up Lashes Mascara. I really love this wand. It is so good. It is flat on one side, and then when you turn it, you can see that there are bristles on either side. So the claim is that you can use the flat side to load up your lashes at the base, and then turn the brush and use it to comb through. And I love that. I got some really beautiful lash looks out of the sample, but also out of this one when I first purchased it. However, it has not been that long, and this thing is dry. Like, there's no way I'm getting any product on my eyeballs, even though I know from the sound of putting the wand in and out that there's plenty of product in there. However, it does not come on to the brush. I did try to add a few eye drops to this to try and re-moisten the product in here, and I think it worked a little bit. I'm gonna keep trying adding eye drops, or if you guys have a better suggestion, let me know, because I do want to get my use and my money out of this product before I toss it away. This is just a huge disappointment to me for the price, and because I had such a good experience with the sample, I am just kind of sick over it, if I'm being honest, and I love the way it looks when it works. And then the last of the worst purchases from 2021 is a doozy. This is a complete FOMO moment, but it is the Too Faced Born This Way multi-use sculpting concealer, and I have the shade Vanilla. So many people that I have watched on YouTube over the years have this in their collection, use this. I've seen quite a few people attempt and or succeed at panning this concealer, and I just thought, man, I really have to try that. It was like a moment of, that's a YouTube cult favorite that I need to try, and last year was definitely a year of concealer and bronzers for me. So I did pick this one up, and I don't love it. Not even a little bit. It feels very heavy and dry under the eyes. I do think, you know, because it's meant to be multi-use, it says conceal, contour, highlight, retouch. I think part of it is that it is meant to be used on the face as well as the under eye. Maybe the under eye, I don't know. Maybe it's not meant for the under eye. Now I have this thing here that has half the amount of a foundation in it, this concealer, that I don't like. And it's not cheap. That's the other thing. It's not like I bought a giant drugstore concealer that I don't like. I bought a high-end, not cheap concealer that I don't like. And let's get into the top purchases of the year. Now, if you missed it, I have already done my JourneyInBeauty Awards, and that is completely separate. This is more about the purchases and kind of what I've gotten out of the products versus my all-time favorite products that I bought last year or used or what. So the first one's an eyeshadow palette, and if you've been around, you know that I've gotten really good use out of my BH Cosmetics Avocado Toast palette, and I did do a full 1 month, 1 palette with this one. I'll link the video down below where I created, I don't even remember, like 18 looks with this 1 month. And I had such a good time. And the thing about this palette versus the other palettes that I've used with any regularity, I ended up loving this even more than I ever thought I would by the end of my project with this. Whereas when I'm panning eyeshadows or using another eyeshadow palette for any length of time. That is not always the case. There are certain palettes, for example, the Jackie Aina palette, that by the end of it, I wasn't even sure I wanted to keep it. But this one became a rock star in my eyes and in my collection. And the thing I think I learned the most about this is there's a lot that you can do with this palette that isn't green. Of course, there's a lot of greens in here, but you have these up here that are not green. You have this corner of neutrals down here that is not green. You have a nice yellow, and I just absolutely love this. I love the formula. I love the shade selection, and I love green eyeshadow, to be fair, but this one really shocked me. I thought, yeah, I'm gonna have a good time with this for 1 month. But I wasn't even sick of this by the end of the month. I could have gone another month and probably been totally happy. Next is a concealer that I didn't spend a lot of money on that absolutely blew every other concealer out of the water for me last year. And that is the Wet n Wild MegaLast Incognito Concealer. I have the shade Light Beige. And this is fantastic. It says it's full coverage. I would say it's more like medium to buildable coverage. But the thing that is fantastic about this one is the hydration. It gives a slight cooling sensation when you first apply it with the applicator, and I think it's because it is so hydrating. I didn't see anyone last year who reviewed this that didn't like this, other than a few complaints on it not actually being full coverage. For me personally, I'm very rarely looking for full coverage, so this one is perfect for me. It is hydrating, it smooths out beautifully on the under eye. It never looks cakey, it never looks dry. It's just absolutely perfect, and I love it. Next, a cream blush that honestly, I purchased this shade because I wanted to add value to my collection. It does me no good to continue to purchase, you know, umpteen different blushes in a sunburny shade, which I really enjoy, but I'll never use them with any regularity when I have so many in the same shade range. So when I purchased this, I thought this will add value to my collection. I don't have a blush shade, and certainly not a cream blush shade like this, and that is the Tower 28 Beach Please blush in the shade After Hours. This is a stunning berry shade that I just can't even get over. It looks very intimidating in the pan and in the swatch, and let me be honest, I was definitely intimidated when I received this blush. Putting it on the cheeks and blending it out, it just leaves the most beautiful sort of berry stain to the cheeks. But more than that, this is a luminous cream blush without a stitch of glitter or shimmer or anything like that. You can see in the surface of the blush that it is shiny, it looks balmy, but it does not remain sticky or tacky or anything, but it does leave this beautiful, dewy, juicy, luminous glow to the cheeks. And this berry shade is not only gorgeous on the cheeks, I love, love, love adding it to my lips as well. Whenever I wear this as a blush, it just adds this beautiful cohesive look to the skin that ties in with the lips, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. Next is a product that I picked up during Ulta's 21 Days of Beauty this year. It was the only product that interested me or that I picked up during that time, and that is the Urban Decay Moondust eyeshadow in the shade Space Cowboy. This thing is out of this world. It's so thin when you swatch it. It's very firm in the pan, and this is what it looks like. It has like this beautiful beigey base to it with just a ton of sparkle to it. And I find not only do I love this all on its own, just on my lid with some primer and mascara, maybe eyeliner, but this also looks beautiful just tapped over the top of almost any eye look. It is very sheer. The beigey base that you can see is because I gave you a heavy swatch just to see how much shine and dimension this has. This is something I wanted for a very long time. In fact, long before they, I don't think they reformulated them, but they did repackage them in these little plastic cases, which I definitely prefer to their previous more chunky packaging. I think this is so travel friendly. It takes up very little space in my makeup storage. And I just love this thing to pieces. I want to wear it like all the time. The last product that I absolutely fell in love with last year were the Ulta Matte Cream eyeshadows. I have two shades here, Game Over and Vintage Beauty. The texture of these is like, you can see here, we almost has like a stiff peak of the product on top of the wand here. It's almost like a whipped texture, which is perfect for a matte shadow like this. This is the shade Game Over. You get a really good amount of time to work with these. You can apply them on your lid or your outer corner, whatever floats your boat, and then go in with a finger or a brush. This is the shade Vintage Beauty, the more cool tone one here. For me, these are like either the perfect quick throw it on the eyelid, tap it out, throw on some mascara and get out the door type eye look, or they make a beautiful base for any other eyeshadows. I especially love to put the Moondust shadow over these for a quick and easy eye look that's just fun and sparkly but simple. So there you go. Those are my top 5 and bottom 5 purchases for 2021. I hope you enjoyed this video and hearing my thoughts on why these were such a good investment or why I regret the purchase altogether. So I hope you enjoy my perspective on my purchases for last year. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your time as always, and I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautiful makeup days, and I will see you in my next video soon.